Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl JoJo, and I'm here to talk to you about a new segment that I'm going to be doing on my channel. I don't know when this video is going to come out because it's pre-recorded, but it's going to be something that I continue. I'm going to do a couple of more pre-recorded videos on this, but the name of this segment is going to be Upon Second Review. And Upon Second Review is going to be based around movies, popular shows, popular music that we felt a certain way about at a particular point in time. But then once you grew up and there was age and there was wisdom and there was maturity, you kind of started looking at stuff a little bit of a different way, and now you got a different opinion, but you still love the song, you still love the video, you still love the music, whatever it is, you still love it, you still appreciate it. And I just want everybody to know that now. I'm not dissing anything or anybody or any writers or anything like that, because I'm not that type of person. I appreciate so many types of art form. It's really all in fun, and it's really kind of like thinking about how I used to think about certain things when I was a younger girl versus when I was a grown woman, and how I look at things now, and how much you grow and how much you change and how much you come to realize, like, something about that wasn't all the way right. And you can just admire your growth and your maturity, and while it's still appreciating whatever art it was. So this Upon Second Review is dedicated to one of my favorite movies. Everybody's gonna call me corny, I don't care, but it is one of my favorites. It's Love and Basketball. Yes, I know some of y'all are thinking like, oh my gosh, how predictable. That's your favorite movie. Hey, I don't care. I have a lot of favorites though, but that's just one of them. I love that whole era of romantic comedies, the Love Jones. The Love Jones was earlier though. Love and Basketball, The Best Man, what else? What was the other one, y'all? Brown Sugar. All of that. I loved it. I loved that whole point in time. Everybody looked good. Everybody looked fresh. They still look good, but they were in their prime and everybody was looking good. And it was a great time for a young black JoJo to see that kind of representation in the movies. It was just a good time. It was a good time. So I wanted to talk about Love and Basketball and some of the things that as a child or as a younger girl I looked at one way, but then when I got grown, I was kind of like, hold on, wait a minute, hold on. We need more information on this, or this isn't quite right. So that is what Upon Second Review is all about. It's just to laugh at the good times and how we used to feel then versus how we feel now, but we still love it all the same, right? So this one isn't going to be too lengthy. I actually only have 2 or 3 things I want to talk about. We're not going to dissect the whole movie because that would take all day, but just a couple of things that I want to discuss. So first off, let's talk about the parents, right? And specifically, I want to focus on Monica's parents first. When I was younger, and that whole scene played out between Monica and her mom, I really didn't think much of it. I kind of felt bad for her mom because her mom didn't realize that her daughter was crying out for her and wanting her to be at the games, because my mama used to come to all my games even if she didn't like what I was participating in. She would be there. I was just like, oh man, that sucks. Her mom wasn't at her games, and I kind of felt bad that her mom didn't know. And then I felt bad for Monica because, maybe Monica never told her. And I was like, oh, that's super sad. But now that I'm grown, okay, and I know, the movie's only so long, so we can't get into all of that. But parents out there, y'all let me know. Don't we know that children want us to come to their games? Like, isn't it common sense that you're supposed to go to their games, that you're supposed to support them, that you're supposed to be there, that they want you in the stands? My mama, God bless her, used to pick me up from school because my brother used to play like little league football, and the games would be super early. Like right when people got off work, the game would be starting. My mama used to pick me up from wherever I was. I don't care if I was at home. She would pick me up. We going to my brother's football game. And I would be like, why do I have to go to the football? It doesn't matter. He wants you there. Meanwhile, I don't think my brother ever said that. But I went to all of my brother's games even when he was playing Little League. When my sister was playing, ball for the church, I would be at all of their games. like even I, as a sibling, knew that my siblings, it probably did matter if I was in the stands rooting for them, whether they were doing well or whether they weren't doing so well. Just the fact that I was there and I was around. I would come home sometimes on the weekends if they had something going on, so I could be there and support. Like, I don't know how her mama didn't know. Like, why are we playing it like this girl been playing ball all her life? You mean to tell me she been playing ball all her life? And the daddy was the only person at the games, the daddy and the sister, while you was at home baking cakes. And don't get me wrong, I appreciate that, because we all got to eat. We all got to eat. You got to make dinner. Thank you, Mom. But we very well could have ordered pizza on the night she had to play. Or you very well could have put it in the crock pot the night before, and we could have ate it when we got home. I didn't understand. When I got grown, I don't understand how her mother, God bless her, did not recognize that Monica needed her to be at those games. I also feel like this could not have been the first time that this conversation was coming up. Like, she made a huge deal about her going to the dance because that was the mom's thing. That was something that the mom liked. She liked that whole girly type of feel. She was probably closer to the older daughter, not really understanding of her younger daughter. And I'm just like, why hasn't this come up? Why hasn't this been a conversation? The father seems like he was pretty boss hog in the household. The fact that she couldn't have her catering business and all of that because the dad, just really wanted her to be. Well, she also sounded like she wanted to be the homemaker and to be at home and be the stay-at-home mom and those kind of things be important to her. If he was big bossing like that, at no point in time did he say, hey, baby, you need to be at these games. You need to be here for your other daughter. Am I supposed to believe that this conversation never came up? So upon second review, I got an issue with the fact that it took until Monica was a grown woman playing overseas for the mother to realize I probably should have been at these games. Right? Did anybody else find that strange, or was I the only person that found that strange? Now, when I was younger, I was feeling sorry for everybody. But now that I'm older, I'm just like, Mama, now you're not going to tell me you didn't know this was important now. Because I know you need to be at these games. Daddy, you seem like you got that household in check. Okay? Sometimes you got to let them know, hey, it ain't an option. Okay? I hate to sound like that, y'all. Maybe this is why I'm not a man, but hey, we going to this game today. That's what we gonna do, okay? Because we all need to be there. We all need to be in full effect to support our baby girl. She's different, yes, but this is what she wants to do. I also had a problem with the mama thinking that she might be a lesbian. Like, yeah, I wasn't feeling that. I wasn't feeling that, Mama. I wasn't feeling it. But yes, that's one thing I noticed upon second review. I'm going off the cuff with y'all. I didn't take notes. You can probably tell. So the second thing is, let's talk about it. The relationship between Monica and Quincy. I love the puppy love type of feel. But then we get to the scene where Monica has curfew. And Quincy has just found out about his father and his mother breaking up and him cheating and not really being the man that Quincy thought he was. They're sitting outside and Monica says, can we go to my dorm? Like, you want to come with me to my dorm? And he didn't want to run into anybody. He said he'd rather stay there. She has a curfew. She lets him know she has a curfew. And if she stays out, it's going to be a problem, right? So he tells her to go ahead and go, because he probably needs to be by himself anyway. But you can tell he wasn't really feeling the fact that she had to leave. And even she felt apprehensive about leaving, okay? Because she went in for the kiss and he was like, no, right? Remember that part, right? So when I was younger, I said to myself, you guys, oh, geez Louise, young JoJo. She said Monica was wrong for leaving. Monica wasn't right for leaving. She should have stayed there with her man. Forget the curfew. He needed her. That's where I was with it, y'all. Don't throw tomatoes. Don't throw tomatoes at me, for those of you who know what I'm about to say. But that's how I felt when I was younger. I felt like she should have stayed there with her man, right? And while I get the sentiment behind that and why I felt that way, like why I felt like she needed to be there, let's be logical. Let me talk to y'all, the people. And I don't want to talk to y'all illogical gender wars type of people, and y'all got some issues between man and woman, so much so that you can't think logically. I don't want to talk to y'all. I can tell y'all that for sure. I don't want to talk to y'all. I want to talk to the people with some good sense, and I also want to talk to the athletes. That is very important. I need to hear from my athletes, especially my collegiate athletes. If you worked your butt off for a scholarship, you live and breathe basketball, and you've never hid it from anybody. You've never acted like you were interested in anything else. You all bonded over this love that y'all had for this one particular thing. I wouldn't say it. Well, yeah, I would say it was the beginning of their relationship when they were little kids, and it actually brought them together in a friendship that was like a lifelong friendship. You all know how you feel about the sport, right? You all know how you feel. You all know how you worked hard to get to this level and to get the scholarship and to get into the school and to get the playing time. Because remember, Monica was the last choice, okay? She was the leftovers. So the coach already did not have the same expectations for her as she may have had for another player that she had chosen early on in the picking of her team. And so Monica really had to work to prove herself to be less cocky and to have an attitude. She had to work for her playing time on that team. Keeping all that in mind, the hard work, the dedication, the lifelong dream, the scholarship, working hard to prove yourself to the point where you're going to get playing time on the team, even as a freshman, would y'all have thrown all of that away to sit there? And I'm not saying you're not supposed to care about your man. You are. But we got to remember, even though these folks, they look grown, child. They look grown. They don't look old, but they look grown in the movie. These folks are supposed to be, your freshman year of college, how old are you? 19? Okay? 18, 19 years old, maybe going on 20, depending on when your birthday falls. You're young. You are young. And I expect your goals to be very much what you came to school to do. Like, I expect for your goals to be kind of laid out, and they may not necessarily be about, the boy that you're seeing. And I would expect that on both sides. So you tell me why it made sense for Quincy to be that upset that girl had to go back to her room. Like she said, if I would have stayed, I wouldn't have been starting. And do you know that he looked at her and said, well, at least you got your priorities straight. Excuse me? I thought we came to school for the same reasons. We didn't come to school to be in a relationship. At least I didn't come to major in relationship. I came here because I want to play professional ball. Okay, what did Monica always say to us? I'm a ball player. Right? That was her favorite line. That was my favorite line in the movie. But that was a line that she said in the movie. I am a ball player. That's what she was about. Now, granted, do your priorities, should your priorities shift and change? Absolutely. But I don't expect a 19-year-old to understand those shifts and changes. And like I said, let me talk to the athletes. Let me talk to the logical people. Let me talk to the people with teenagers. Okay? We all know. Child, I don't have any teenagers, but I got 2 siblings. And y'all know I am far apart in age from them. When they are teenagers, they are thinking about themselves. They are thinking about what they want to do. And I don't even fault them for it, because it's whatever brain functions that they got to go through. Occasionally you'll meet some that they compartmentalize a little bit different, but most of the time they're very kind of, they're not dumb at all, but they can be like narrow in their focus. And when it comes to your goals and your dreams as a young person, I would almost rather you be that way than to be thinking about everybody else at 19. Honestly, unless you got a goal to like change the world or, cure world hunger or something like that, then that's a different type of goal, right? But your relationship and everything else in between before your studies and what you came to school to do, which is play ball, I don't think I would want that, for my teenager. If we are being realistic now, for all of my sports players, would that have not been your thought process? Like, this is what I came here to do. I love this person very much, but I also got to stand in my commitments. I gotta stand in what I'm supposed to do. I gotta work hard. I gotta prove myself. See, Quincy, he didn't have to prove himself like that, right? His dad was big time and everybody already loved Q. Q was already the man on campus. And y'all remember when he said, you gonna get more play being Quincy McCall's girl anyway. See, that right there told the story. That right there already got it started. That already made me wonder, did you really respect the fact that she was as serious about ball as you once? Okay, because it changed after that, as you were. Right? Did you really respect it? See, that right there, that was the telltale sign. We should have known that something was about to go down where he was going to try to make her choose. But we couldn't see it because at the time we were young. Oh, but when we got grown, we should have saw, okay, we should have seen some of the flags early on. But again, that's not the down Q because he was young too. And he was probably narrow focused as well. Like, I'm hurt. I want you to just stay here with me. Like, you shouldn't worry about basketball. But it's easier for him to say because he, like I said, he's in a sport. He's already the man. He's already the big name on campus. She, on the other hand, was the last choice. You know, she had to prove herself. And I just I thought he would be a little bit more understanding, but like I said, you can still be narrow in your focuses. Both of them were guilty of it, but both of them were guilty of it for different reasons, right? Both of them were guilty of it for different reasons. I think Monica made the right decision to leave. I done talked about this way too long. I think she made the right decision to up and leave at that point in time because if she wouldn't have been starting. She wouldn't have had a good season, and she wouldn't have ended up playing overseas probably. She probably would have just been riding that bench, and nobody would have ever seen her talent, and what a shame that would have been. All for what? Staying over for curfew night? No, ma'am. No, ma'am. She made the right decision. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about that. Okay, let's move on. Then after that, we know that Monica goes to party with her basketball team because they had a good win. They go get something to eat. Then they come to the party, which Q is there. He's drunk. She's trying to talk to him again. He's standoffish. He don't really want to do it. Then, you know, there's the girl he took to Burger King the following day that she catches him with, who seems to be everybody's side in these black films. Okay, y'all know Ebony. She is the one that Q took to Burger King, and so she's upset about that. And all in all, she ends up getting dumped because Q's gonna go pro. He's gonna leave, and you know, that's it. Just forget about me and you. Yep, that's gonna be it. I like for us to be friends, and she's hurt. She gets broken up with. She gets dumped. But all in all, you guys, I think Monica getting dumped, like, I was sad initially. I wanted them to stay together, my younger self. But as a grown woman, I think her being dumped was the best thing. Honestly, breaking up was the best thing for both of them. And I'm going to tell you why. Because, excuse me, I don't think that they would have been able to find themselves and work on themselves if they would have stayed together. Like, I think they would have been okay, but there still would have been some identity stuff that came out later on. And I would rather it come out when I'm 22 than to come out when I'm 32. You know what I'm saying? So I think there was still a lot of stuff they needed to find within themselves and a lot of things they needed to work on, including why they had fallen in love with the game to begin with, because he finds out he just more so wanted to be like his dad. And I don't know if he would have found that out if he would have, well, as soon as he did, if he would have remained in a relationship, because they would have been like a crutch to each other. Like, he could have leaned heavily on her and she probably would have encouraged him to keep playing. And then on the flip side, she had a lot of things that she was struggling with as far as the identity of herself and being in love with the sport, compartmentalizing, you know, when it was time to do this, when it was time to do that. Also issues with the mom, like all of that stuff needed to come up, needed to be brought to light, needed to be dealt with. And it's good that they dealt with them, you know, separately, because they were able to kind of see things a little bit differently. It probably hurt, but they were able to see things a little bit differently. I don't understand, though, when they did break up, you mean to tell me Monica was in Italy all those years with all that fine wine and fine men, and she never went on a date with anybody? Who wrote that into the story? Who wrote that? I didn't like that. You know, when I was younger, I got it because I was like, oh, she was probably heartbroken and she don't want to just be dating nobody and blah, blah. Years, though. We talking about years. Monica, girl, you got to move around. And when I say move around, y'all know I don't mean it like that. But, you know, you got to make moves. You got to make moves. Just like he moved on and did all we. You gotta make moves. You gotta make moves. So upon second review, y'all should have gave my girl a couple dates. She should have had a couple of dates in there, or at least a couple of dudes hitting her up. I was just like, upon second review, Monica should have been going on some dates. Okay, but fine. All right, again, I guess that was for dramatic effect too. So then we get to the last part of the movie. Okay, I'm skipping on. And they go outside and they played around the ball. I ain't gonna spoil it for y'all who ain't seen it. I'm sure you have. But she's playing for his heart. While that was a very touching line, Monica, girl, I'm gonna have to let you know, girl, you was wrong. I was feeling it in the theater. Okay, I was feeling it. Like, I thought it was beautiful, and that's right, girl, you fight for your man and all of that. And I still feel those ways, but you could have done it earlier. You could have done it a little bit earlier, Monica. It's the night before his wedding. They done already paid for the caterer. They done already booked the venue. They already got the bridesmaids coming. Why are you just now saying that you want to play somebody for their heart? And then you done went and worked at a bank and said your heart wasn't in basketball no more. All of that. You could have got this off your chest months ago. Months ago. Even though you were shell-shocked that he had a fiance, he had every right to move on. He did try to call you. He did try to hit you up. So he had every right to go ahead and move on with his life. Even though we know, honey, Tyra was not his type. That was not his type. But he had every right to move on. However, waiting the night before somebody's wedding to decide that you want to go out there and play a round of horse for his heart? Absolutely not. Absolutely not, Monica. You were wrong. When Quincy said you still think the sun rise and set on your ass, actually both of y'all kind of was like that. But, I digress. But I just think that was a terrible time to decide that you wanted to play him for his heart. Like, you had already processed your emotions. You already knew you wanted that man. You could have gave him the real months before, weeks before, or whatever. Okay, now let me make a correction. It actually wasn't the night before the wedding. It was like a week or 2 weeks before the wedding. The wedding was approaching. Deposits were already made. I do know that much. Deposits were already made. Tyra Banks already thought she was about to get her a baller. She had already got the dress and all of that. It was too late. Okay, if you're reading this, it's too late. Nobody was getting any money back. I don't know how I would have felt about immediately getting with somebody who was having to break up this almost marriage with somebody else. Like, all of that would have felt awkward. Luckily, we didn't have to see it. But I mean, did anybody feel bad for Tyra upon second review? Anybody? Upon second review, I kind of was like, dang. Tyra thought she was getting married, and now she's not getting married no more. I would have had hands for Monica, and I would have had to have hands for hands for Quincy first, because that's who I'm in a relationship with. So hands for Quincy first. But if Monica looked at me too slick, I might have had some hands for her too, because I would have been mad at everybody. And I do mean everybody. Because you almost had it, but you wasn't quite quick enough. But yeah, whatever. I still think that timing for Monica, bad timing. She could have asked way earlier or expressed herself way earlier. But again, I guess it was for dramatic effect. But anyway, they go out and they play around, and we all know what ends up happening, which is great, which is beautiful. But I'm going to tell you this, Monica, if Quincy would have looked at you and told you no, because I'm getting married tomorrow, I would have been mad at the theater, because that would have been my young brain working. But my grown woman mind would have been like, well, she had a chance. Okay? She had years to let him know how she felt. So I'm glad she let him know, but I wish her timing would have been a little bit better. But it's all for dramatic effect. So you guys, that is it. That is my upon second review about Love and Basketball. Y'all let me know what y'all looked at differently when y'all got grown and watched the movie versus when you were a young lad and watched the movie. Overall, still love the movie. I still watch it all the time. I probably always will. But that is it, you guys, and we will be back for another one sometime soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.